Do you remember Brittany made this really cool thing with the cross and the things coming off of it? And it really reminded us of that sermon, of that Jesus is our center pivot. Remember, there's two definitions of pivot. One is the pivot point that everything goes around, and that is Jesus. And then the second is that you pivot. It's the verb to turn, right? And a pivot can be just a really small thing, and you pivot just a little bit, and it can take you in a whole different direction, right? It can change your life. So we talked about that as a church, we were going to pivot. We were going to stay focused on Jesus, but then we were going to say, God, what would you have us do next? And, you know, it's really easy at any given moment to get so lost in sadness or grief. We've had a lot of sadness and grief this year as a church. And it's easy to kind of define the whole year that way. I'm sorry, my microphone here is not in its right place. Okay, let's see if I can not have it be on my mouth. It's easy to kind of stay there and forget all of the kind of step back big picture. What were some of the great things, the pivots that we took as a church? Well, in case you all forget, I've got a little reminder for you this morning in pictures, okay? So let's start with, we started that sermon on pivot, and we all were watching from home. We weren't actually in person yet. And one of the first things we did in person before we even had service was we actually invited you to come and take communion here at the church in just family groups or small groups. That was pretty meaningful for some of us to come and refocus on Jesus. We also did some things over Zoom, some small group things and some sharing and some laughing and being together. So there's some Zoom pictures. We also got new T-shirts. Do y'all remember that? And a bunch of you have them now. I like that Eric is having the back for us that has our mission and vision statement on it. And so we've all been kind of sporting those throughout this year. At Easter on Good Friday, we actually had a Good Friday walkthrough sort of thing that you could go through some scriptures and remember. And then on Easter Sunday, we had an outdoor sunrise service. Some of you who were there, that was pretty special. And this picture, I believe, was taken by Heidi Sheehan, which was pretty cool. We also did some other outdoor services, as pictured here. And the Lord was really gracious to us with the weather. Almost every Sunday, it was really just pretty good to be outside. We also dedicated a lot of babies this year, you may remember. Some outside, as this is shown, and also some inside, which I think is the next picture here. And that's exciting, right? That's new life. Even as we've said goodbye to those who are truly in glory with Jesus, the Lord has sent us new life and new babies. Barnaby B started doing some traveling around to some of your homes. You may have gotten a visit, and he might be hibernating or sleeping for the winter for a little bit, but I'm going to guess he's going to show back up when the weather gets nice, so you never know. You may get a visit from Barnaby B. And wow, what a pivot. We did, for the first time ever, a summer kids program 3 evenings a week. And it was amazing. And not only did we do a spiritual and educational and social sorts of things for our kids, but also we trained up leaders and taught them how to be teachers and leaders and how to work with others, and gave them a work experience that they can put on their resume and their applications. My daughter's been applying to college, and she's been able to write this amazing leadership experience she's had. The teenagers had their first party of the year with 4th of July, and it was all outdoors and fun. Again, perfect weather. We had lots of fun fireworks. The teenagers also went on, I think, perhaps the first ever youth group kayak trip, and it was a blast, including with it ending with Eric falling in the water, and that was really fun. But some of the kids, that was their first time out on a kayak, and it was a blast. Then we ended the summer kids program. There we are with our teen leaders and lots of kids and a lot of adults, and some who have very rarely served in our kids program and found that they made a connection with some various kids, which was very fun. We also, the Lord gave me a new vision for us as a church. Who would have thought, I sure didn't, at the beginning of 2021, that I would wake up in the middle of the night and have just a new, fully new pivot for us to take. And so we started doing work on that and clearing out space next door. Lots of people, again, volunteers participating with that, and it looks very different than that even now. And then into the fall, we continued our kids' summer program with one night a week and continuing to help and support in not only education and learning to read and write, but also just a sense of confidence that we believe in them and they can. And we began to partner with InterVarsity, who brought us a bunch of volunteers, I believe 13 or 14 over the fall. And so we had a lot, besides those of you from the church who volunteered and had some great time with our students. Also this fall, we started the nursery again. And we have lots of kids and adults and teens who are volunteering in the nursery. I think there's a next picture of one of our teens interacting with the kids. And lots of fun has been happening with there. And what I don't have a picture of is our brand new preschool class. And our teacher, Salima, is here with us one of the few times because she's there every Sunday investing in our children who are learning to quiet themselves and pray and learn from God's word. And it's been amazing. They're some of the highest energy kids we have in our church. And I hear rumors that at the beginning of a morning that they all sit quietly and pray. They are learning to listen for God's voice at an early age, and that is amazing. That's a gift that we are giving. Also, this fall, we had a fall outdoor family fun at the farm, the Cray Farm. And again, God gave us some amazing weather the second time that we did that, and that was a wonderful time of sharing. The kids had some wonderful fall events of painting pumpkins and enjoying that. And we also cleared out 2 places of the asbestos tile, kind of cleaning up the past and preparing for the future, right? And so that's when it looked nice and neat before all the stuff was back in there, and lots of you were helpful at moving things around. The kids continued with final celebrations in November for Thanksgiving, and then heading in to the Advent season, and they were the first ones who got to do our Advent Labyrinth. And it was an amazing time. Some of you saw the video. It's nothing compares to being there and seeing kids both sit quietly and observe the Christ candle and get the chance to light it themselves, but also celebrate with every kid who did it. Wow, the energy in a room. We also, all of us had the opportunity to participate in the Labyrinth as well. We also had our second, I would say annual, but COVID messed that up a little bit last year, but we had our second time of a progressive dinner for the teenagers where they went to each of the staff family home. And this had the biggest room with everybody in it, although a lot of kids stuffed into a smaller room in the Cray house to eat a full Thanksgiving meal. And then they all stuffed into Brittany's tiny house. We all had lots of fun. Going from house to house and giving thanks for what God has done. And then only a week later, we, for the very first time, did a community outreach of serving hot beverages to those who might come for Silver Bells that evening, and had fun with some of the youth group heading down there for the evening. We also that weekend got together as a church and talked more and prayed more about this pivot of a new vision in the new space, which was an exciting afternoon for those of you who participated and for me. And we were reminded at the beginning of Advent to look for the cookie, right? To look for how God takes all of the crazy pieces of our lives as individuals and as a church. And he's going to take all of those ingredients, good and bad, and as Romans 8 says, use them all for good and make something we cannot imagine. And who could forget that Karen T. Camel visited us weekly, unexpectedly, during Advent to remind us that God still shows up in unexpected places, with unexpected messages and messengers, and at unexpected times. The women had their annual Christmas party together and sang with lights, and Caitlin Barshaw pulled it off in an amazing way. It was a wonderful evening of celebration. And twice we did holiday food boxes that we gave out to the community. Special thanks to Becky, who I actually got in a picture, and she'll hate me forever for it. But special thanks to her and Carol, who prepare all year long. And then just a week ago, we had our Christmas Eve service with candlelight all around this sanctuary to remind us that Emmanuel, God is with us. And all of us can take that light and spread it out around our dark world.